Hi. My name is Ty, and I'm gonna do my little book report, I guess, on Batman: The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. His artists happen to be his artistic team is Klaus Janson and Lynn Varley, and they're basically his inkers, and did all the art for it. This comic was published in 1986. Um, it was actually four books. A lot of people don't know that it was four different titles. Compiled of The Dark Knight Returns, The Dark Knight Triumphant, Hunt for the Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Falls, and all those was released within that 1986 time frame, and then they compiled it. And once they compiled it, Frank Miller said just use The Dark Knight Returns. He likes that a little better. So um, later that year, they just compiled it all. It's fully colored in 197 pages. Yeah, 197 pages. Um, and it's one of my favorite Batman books. It really is. I got a bunch of other ones, but I think this is one of my favorite ones, and it encompasses how we tell comics. As far as graphic novels, most people you know base it off of this movies and stuff. So it was pretty telling of the times, I guess. The story's about Bruce Wayne, 55 years old, and he's retired from crime fighting after 10 years. He's basically worn out and weary. The death of Jason Todd plays a big toll on him, and a lot of people. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you pay attention, Jason Todd is the second Robin. Dick Grayson being the first, Jason Todd is the second. And the Joker beat him to death with a crowbar. So, and then he blew him up. So he blew him up, and he died. And then he came back as the Red Hood, but that's never addressed here. So, but yeah, so that's part of it. I think it loosely follows the one fourth, one half, one fourth pacing that we've been talking about this whole class time. Because it was initially four books, we got a couple of different storylines, but they still line up with the overall arc of Batman coming out of retirement to give Gotham the rest of what he's got in his superhero tank. So I think that overall arc doesn't change, even though you get to see some of his rogues, out of the Gatherer. Now it does tend to stick with the three arc or the three act principle that we've been talking about. I think Act One starts on page 9, and page 9 is basically showing Batman doing or Bruce Wayne doing things out of the norm. Now this is page 8, but that's the splash page. So splash page. And then page 9 starts with showing Bruce Wayne. He's in a race car trying to get some adrenaline going because his life is pretty boring now. He's been just witnessing his town go to hell basically. And then it flows over to some newscasts and shows Jim Gordon getting ready to retire. And coincidentally, his retirement is the 10-year anniversary of Batman not showing up. Kids think he's a myth now. They don't know. The first arc is showing basically him being a bored old man, and he's tired of his city going to hell in a handbasket. So he's walking around, getting a taste of it. And right here in this little panel, it's showing two guys getting ready to attack him because they think he's just a feeble old guy, but then they realize he's a pretty big dude and he's not afraid. And Batman realized, or Bruce Wayne, I'm sorry, he realized that no, I'm not afraid, and I shouldn't be afraid. Nobody should be afraid. And so that's where your first act is basically giving you that telling history that he wants to take his town back. It goes on showing him sitting in his mansion, and he's contemplating coming back. All these bad things are happening, and finally he's like, I've had enough. It's go time. And this panel right here, this bottom panel, it kind of shows, enter the Bat, basically. Bat comes crashing through his window, and dun dun dun, Batman time. Act 2 picks up on page 27. Page 27 is he's basically running around greasing his wheels. Basically running around greasing his wheels and getting back into the swing of things. And he's kicking some butt. Basically, I can't put it any better than that, I guess. He's running around. People are getting attacked by the mutants. The mutants are the one of the big overall baddies. And people are getting terrorized by them. And here he is throwing some batarangs. Grabbing bad guys through the window. And then he's basically picking off small time criminals and gang members until he gets a beat on Two-Face, and then the mutant leader later on, and then Joker later on, and finally Superman. And Superman's kind of an antagonist. He's a government pawn at this point. And then Act 3 starts on page 185. And Act 3 is the closing act where you see Superman, and the president is talking to him. He wants to end Batman's so-called reign of terror because Batman's running around beating people up and not doing what the government has intended for all superheroes or metahumans or whatever to do. And I really love this panel. If you guys saw Batman vs Superman, you recognize this because this is where they took that directly from. So I love that panel. That's cool. Batman basically gives Superman the business until he has a fake heart attack and pretends to die. And he also changed the mutants. That's another thing about it. The mutants start calling themselves Sons of Batman, but they haven't been trained by Batman, so they're still doing things a bit wrong. Some people are still dying. The transitions are pretty flawless in this story, I think. It's kind of hard to get the transitions because it was initially 4 books, but the stories are so woven into itself that the transitions come out clear. I guess what I'm trying to say. The Joker is brought up in the 2nd book, but Batman doesn't take care of him until the 3rd book, the carnival scene, and Superman is shown in the 3rd book, but never addressed until the 4th and final book. It leaves the reader wondering what's in store for the next book, or for the next chapter, or however you want to look at it. Let's see if I can find this page where they show the Joker smiling at the end. He's smiling like, "Oh, I got my friend back." Really, he just wants to go cause some trouble. Either way, I'm not gonna look through it. It'll take a little bit, but yeah, that's what that is. They leaves the reader wanting more. The transitions are pretty flawless because they lead into the next book. They always do, up until the end when you see finally Batman's biggest success is not that he was running around beating people up. It's just that he happened to change the city. The kids start caring. The mutants call themselves the Sons of Batman, and they want to learn from him. So that's the end of the story. Is actually Batman showing the Sons of Batman in this panel right here in the splash page. Oh, that glare is horrible. I'm sorry. Showing that showing the Sons of Batman. This is how we do it, along with the Green Arrow and the newest Robin. Excuse me. The movement of the art, I think, is second to none. It's very fluid. You can always see what's happening. A bat comes out of there, scares this guy, and then Batman comes smashing through. Throwing batarangs and kicking butt. He's standing up there, and the mutants are scared. It's pretty cut and dry. What's going on? What's happening? The action is pretty seamless, and it flows directly to what's going on from panel to panel. This is a big fight scene between the mutant leader and Batman, and you can tell it's a fight scene. You can tell he's kicking people. It's pretty it's pretty addressed, I guess. You know, it's very fluid, I think. It doesn't leave you wondering. It's not clunky. It doesn't leave you wondering what's going on. As far as the characters are concerned, there's plenty of history. There's plenty of backstory. Even though none of it's really addressed, it's all implied to the point where the reader can put it together. There's the part where Superman is basically complaining that Batman's running around being a freelancer again, and he's gonna cause the government to get in an uproar like they had once before. And then later on, you meet the Green Arrow, and the Green Arrow's like, yeah, they shut us down because of people like me and you who didn't want to be held, unlike Superman, who doesn't mind being a pawn of the government, which leads them to their little battle scene where Superman is basically taking orders from the president, saying go stop Batman. So yeah, the backstory, the arc of the characters, like I said, it's not really addressed. You kind of have to be familiar with the story of Batman and Superman, but they give you, this is off DC's main arc, so this is not canon. This is not a canon novel to the other stuff before it. They made it later, but prior to it's not canon. So some of these things, didn't happen. The government never disbanded the metahumans and superheroes. They implied it in the history, and then they made it so in this book to where you can understand that yes, Oliver Queen or the Green Arrow is pretty upset at the government. He's anti-establishment, and he's willing to do anything he can to help bring down Superman. But that's it. That's basically my interpretation of the book, and I love it. It was awesome, and that's it. Thanks.